Oh, it's so lovely to see all of you. How many people here have no idea who the hell I am? You're in for a ride. For everybody else, thank you so much for attending and coming to my talk over other ones being done. I don't know why you turn away from being in a small box with Richard Stallman, but if it's your choice, I get it. Everyone's got personal choices. So there I was at the South California Climate Data Protection Project last January 2017. That's a little event of climate people who were working together to try to save the objective observed data of actual real climate change in the United States and the entire country, and a concern that was valid and real, and which time has proven that much of that data is probably at risk and efforts will be made to remove it from public view. They brought me in to talk and give consultation and generally be a problem because I work for the Internet Archive, archive.org. And so the Internet Archive, which as it says is a nonprofit library of millions of free books, is also the home of the Wayback Machine, one of the jewels of the Internet, not a government institution, funded by donations and nonprofit grants, and provides a snapshot in the last 20 years of web history. Why be a microphone? Why not something else? Microphone neutral. Anyway, so at the Internet Archive, we have this Wayback Machine, and it's really this beautiful thing. You type in a URL and you get to what's there. And so one of the problems of saving web history is you have to save it when it happens. So you have to know something's important. So part of that is that the archive just randomly goes through billions of web pages. That screenshot says 305 billion, but that's a blatant lie. It's currently 479 billion. And so they're just constantly grabbing everything. And so I was brought in because we talk about, like, well, how can we save it for later and all those pieces, right? And I had this, while I was in there, I got this news. And the news was that my father's surgery hadn't gone so well. And he was having a heart valve fix-up in North Carolina. And it had come down to, he had 3 children. He has 3 children. One of them was sick. One of them couldn't get out away from his job, and then there was me. So I offered to be the guy who would come down. So I flew basically from California right to my house in New York and flew immediately with no warning to spend a few days with my father. And the convalescence was extremely difficult because they had nicked some things inside and he was being treated. And when you're taking care of a parent, it takes a lot out of you, and you want to be there, and you have to be there all the time, especially if you're worried about the production and amount of a hospital. And healthcare is difficult. It's a matter of like great highs, crushing lows, lots of profanity out of your family, and generally getting it due. But the archive is an extremely great place and has wonderful. I am delighted that the same consistent quality has greeted me lo these many years. All right, so the archive was extremely nice about this. I work remote, why not work from the hospital? So I'm down there taking care of my father and his various ailments and its ups and downs. And so, like the archive, you have all these beautiful things like old 78 RPM records and old shareware CD-ROMs. It's not just books, it's the ability to play old software and look at old software like that, or all sorts of crazy flyers and music pieces, and even, of course, these beautiful scanned materials. And because of the method we use, we scan about 1,000 books a day, and we scan them pretty nicely, so you get like a pretty good look. So there I am taking care of my dad, and it's supposed to be for a few days, but it turns into like a week and a half. And now I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take care of dad, but wait a minute, what about the manuals? So then we gotta get into the manuals. So I've done a number of projects over the years involving the real-time taking of things from real space to prevent their loss. These are technical reference manuals going back about 70 years for a wide variety of electronic testing equipment. They're beautiful. You either look at them and you say, well, of course, you have to save these, or why are you saving them? I'm in the, of course you save them. They're beautiful, they're evidence of things before, they come from a time of technical writing we probably won't see again. And so at the time, they told me, when I had gone there a year previously, that, yeah, they're gonna throw them out in 3 days. And we were able to get a wide variety of people to show up with 2 days' notice and go through and box them, find all the unique ones, sort them all through until we had taken all of the unique ones and ended up with 1,600 banker boxes. And we stored them in a storage unit nearby, and I had arranged for a truck to come take them to the Internet Archive. But I wasn't in Maryland. I was in North Carolina taking care of my dad. There's multiple things you could do in this situation to get things right. I decided, okay, I'll get into my car and drive 5 hours up there and then arrange for them to be forklifted in. Here's what the manuals look like when they're getting ready to go to the archive. And here's me. Don't do this, that moves. So we forklifted these little suckers away and we were able to do it. And then I drove right back from Maryland, right back to North Carolina, basically later that day, 10 hours driving to be able to be back with my dad. And again, taking care of him, getting him to walk and doing everything else. And I want to stress right now that he was taken care of beautifully. They gave him the things he needs. He is healed wonderfully. My father is absolutely fine. So on the last day I was there, though, I had run into another problem, which was, oh shit, I'm going to Australia on Saturday, and it's Friday, and I haven't booked a flight, and I'm sick. Like, I'm feeling sick. I've got like the flu or something. I don't feel well. So what does Jason do? Jason goes back to the hotel room. Jason gets all of the linens that are in the room, stacks them all up on a bed. Jason gets into the pile of linens and items on one bed, turns off all the lights, drinks half a bottle of NyQuil, turns on endless Bill Burr comedy routines, and goes to sleep for 6 hours to sweat it out. I recover, feeling good, and take a plane that I was able to book, land in New York, and 1 hour and a half later am on a flight to Australia. So I'm gonna get to go to Australia. All right. With a stop off in Dubai with the ridiculous McDonald's Arabic, which still looks weird to me. And then Haagen-Dazs, even more weird. You all know that like Haagen-Dazs is a totally made-up word, right? It was created in New Jersey to sound Danish. All right, so I go to Melbourne, everything's awesome. I've got 2 wonderful things I'm going to do. I am going to speak at an event about copyright, and I'm going to host something called White Night Arcade Fun, where I'm going to host a night of arcade playing for 4 or 5 hours. Both these organizations have brought me in, Acme and Museum Next. All right? And then I had a heart attack. An actual heart attack. It had blocked part of my heart. So that line on the left is supposed to be a lot longer than it is. So something's in there killing me. They told me later I would either have died instantly or not, but almost. But anyway, so Melbourne's a lot of fun because, you see, I don't know I had a heart attack. So I'm going around to this place and I'm looking at all the you have to see, by the way. The graffiti of Melbourne is a wonder of the world, right? And I'm working on my talk and I've got a really cool rental place right near the talks, and I walked 16,646 steps. I am an overachiever, as was already indicated. My talk was called Mad Facts Among Copyright Fury Road. It was basically a warning to Australians that if they adopt the American regime, it will be a wasteland of misery and sadness. And it was to a collection of librarians, and so they were not expecting me to do the same thing on stage when I gave my speech. So people know the trick of like what this particular, people know what this is, right? That this is actually like silver cake mix. So I got silver cake mix and sprayed this shit. It turns out silver cake mix has a very distinct smell, which the first 4 rows of this place apparently smelled like a cake for the rest of the thing. And I pointed out these kind of things, that there's going to be no copyrighted works reverting to the public domain in America from 1999 to 2018. I said, if your job is to give a list to your institution of all the new copyright works that are falling out, take that job. Because every January you can go, none. I want to point out again, I'm having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack on stage. I then hosted this event. And this event was basically a thing, I don't know if people know of this, there's this beautiful thing created by Bennett Foddy, who makes that other fucking game that I hate, frustrating the fuck out of yourself with Bennett Foddy. And he created this arcade thing, which allows you to play remixed MAME versions, and you compete with people. You get 15 seconds to like play this game, 15. And I was up there, and I asked for a stool, because I wasn't feeling well. So I am up there doing a presentation for 4 hours and annoyed at how tired I am. So I'm drinking Red Bulls to fix that. So I did that, right? And they gave me the things, and the next thing I had this lovely dinner at the top of one of the finest restaurants in Australia with a lovely lady. We had it, you know, as you can see from the 2 pieces of wood, it's great food. This would have been a fine last dinner. So again, visiting Melbourne, had a lovely time, and you know, again, at some point, I stumble and hit the sidewalk. I remember this. And people helped me up, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I am so tired these days. I must be getting old. So here's how your life is saved. You don't get to sleep after a week of having your heart attack, but you don't know that. You walk 2 miles to a clinic. You go to the clinic and the guy says, like, here's some Maalox, because a lot of guys, you know, whatever you've got, it's either hard or not, and here's some Maalox, try it. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, I know a cardiologist buddy. So I go to the cardiologist buddy, and his name is Dr. George Lytle, and he measured me for 20 seconds, and everything else was millions of dollars equipment verifying what he had heard. And he's like, yeah, you can't get on a plane the next day or 2. I have to figure out how to sneak an American into this hospital. So he personally drove me into the hospital and right up into the cardiac unit and put me in the waiting line and left a note and got out of there so he wouldn't get in trouble. And so, and what I remember was I'm sitting there and the doctors came in and looked at me and said, okay, hey, you know, Dr. George Lytle, I heard he dropped you off. Dr. George dropped you off. Let's do some research, and you know, maybe tomorrow we might have to do a procedure. And I was like, oh, so like the note says. And he was like, what note? I said, oh, we left a note out front. And he goes out the note, he comes back, he goes, all right, so we're gonna operate in 20 minutes. Now I have a problem. He's using phrases I don't like. Phrases like low chances of paralysis. High, start out positive, high survivability rate. And I realized that there's a little shake of the dice that I'm about to die. That they're not gonna, whatever the fuck this is not gonna be great. So, 2 things. First of all, I had called my office to let them know, hey, I'm having a heart attack. It was like midnight there. And Brewster insisted I take the company credit card and charge it wherever I needed, however I needed. So that was handled. And this is my last tweet. This turns out to be what I thought should be my last tweet, which was very special to me, that I was actually able to have the, you know, now, none of my followers are happy about this. What the fuck is this? Jason is nice. Wow, what's happening? Where's Melbourne, Victoria? So, and I said two things to my companion, which I thought were important. One was, you were the best of everything. It's not very easy to say goodbye to someone like that. And also, please, you did nothing wrong. Because one thing I've encountered with people who are survivors is they think that there was one phrase, one move. I spoke about suicide 2 years ago, and the opposite side of what I talked about, which was listening, is to not blame yourself, to act like, oh, if I had only blank, 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 this would be different, and it's on me. It's my fault. It's not true. I didn't feel well. We went to the doctor. I'd had a heart attack for 7 days. And I survived, I think. This is Dr. Sonny Palmer. He was the man who went through my heart and opened it and fixed it while I was awake. It's a procedure. They made a hole in my wrist and came in through there and knocked out the happy Colette, the many fine tuna melts. And Sonny Palmer, and in Australia, in Melbourne, they really love, they love 80s pop music. So there were 9 people in that room operating on me. There's a television with me watching my heartbeat, and they're playing John Bon Jovi's "You Give Love a Bad Name." Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. So they asked me if I'd voted for Trump. I asked them if that affected the outcome of the operation. I gave my own clammed up political theory while they went through me. At one point he said, I really need you to stand still for this part. And I'm like, Roger. So he fixed my heart. So left, right. Turned out I needed all that. So again, it's a weird picture, but you can see up there's the chunk, and then they take the chunk out, and all that starts working again. And I feel immediately better. Within a day, I'm fucking around. They kept me in there for 3 days, and I will make a little mention about this. So here's the thing that happened that I love. Okay, so their money people came by because I'm a foreigner in their hospital, and I'm like, bring it. How much did I just rack up? And I'll always remember this woman's look on my face, and she was like, well, and, because they don't want to shock the patient. And she was like, this could be in the realm of $10,000. And I was like, I could walk into an emergency room and borrow a fucking Q-tip in America, and that would be $10,000. So it was great. And what's most fascinating to me under this kind of healthcare system is how money is just not in the equation anywhere at all. And the way I've tried to describe it is, imagine if you went to a restaurant, and at this restaurant there were some waiters, and you're like, dude, this food is amazing. This is really great, but I got this thing. In 2 or 3 hours, I'm gonna need to use a bathroom. You have any recommendations? Well, how would you answer? I mean, I did pay, so I did pay for it, but I mean, he's like, well, we have a bathroom, but you don't want to stick around here for 3 hours. And I mean, most train stations, a restaurant, you could go to a store, right? Hey, Steve, right, store? You go to store. That feeling of I'm answering the question and it has answers, that was how they were. I'd be like, so how much is this costing? They're like, I've never seen a bill. One thing that fascinated me was at one point I said, yeah, this can't be worse than treating a gunshot. And he's like, I've never operated on a gunshot. And I'm like, what? Has anyone here operated on a gunshot? Nobody. I just kept asking this. I'm like, have you ever operated on a gunshot victim? Nope. 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 Okay. Now, I will actually say that what I did discover later is that they actually deal with a lot of like, dude drinks way too much at 2 p.m. and hits a curb. So they do have trauma, just a different kind of trauma. So now what? Right? My life is different. And I will say right now, so you're not worried, I am 100% recovered. I went to, I have a doctor at Mount Sinai who checks on me every 3 months. He says I'm as good as can possibly be. I've got no lingering damage. I'm not in any way, I'm better than I was. I take 6 different medications for